Good morning, Camille Vollier, Antoine Vic, and I will present you the movie analysis of The Big Short.
During this scene and during the movie in general, we can see a theory that was very interesting. Is the shareholder value maximization. It's the contrary of the stakeholders theory that we know. The stakeholders theory tell us that we have to take care of all of the stakeholders of the company. But during this movie, we see that the shareholders value maximization is applied in the banks. I mean that only the profits of the banks are important during the subprime periods. And the banks so forward the shareholders, and the result is extremely catastrophic for both bank and stakeholders, because the result is in fact the crisis.
Then we will see the analysis of the decision-making process. So the first step is the recognized moral issue. So in Harrison, Marx begins the analysis of his decision-making by asking himself the question, what decision should I make? So in this sense, he recognizes the moral issue. He has the choice between two options. The first one is to sell the fund in order to win $1 billion, or the other is to not sell it, so as not to be the same of the other, as he said. So at this point, Mark doesn't know yet what it is the right thing to do. However, he must make an imminent decision because Vinyl puts pressure on him by clearly asking him, will sell yes or not. So at this moment of the scene, we feel that Mark is completely lost. So what decision will he make?
So in our scene, making a moral judgment is one of the most complex passages for Mark. He has to go from the what should I do stage to the I know what is the right thing to do stage. In the case of Mark, it's very complex because the choice that Mark has to do is very complex too. If he ever accepts the money, he does not know who he hurts, and he wonders if the people he will hurt are not the people who took the loan. So it's very difficult to take the decision. So to take this decision, there are several dispositions to behave. 3 ways to conduct ethically. There is the virtue ethic, the deontology, and the utilitarianism. We will see now if Mark used this disposition during the scene, and if he used this disposition, we will see the result of the disposition and what will happen.
So the first theory is virtue ethic, in which the role of the community is very important, and also models and heroes can influence the decision-making process. And in the case of Mark, he had no real model in the finance community. Also in that scene, Mark's case is ambivalent. We can consider him as virtuous for the finance community because it can be considered as a normal behavior to accept $1 billion, but it also being virtuous can also mean different things for different communities. But he also can be considered as a non-virtuous person because he's accepting dirty money. And also for Aristotle criteria, he can't be considered as virtuous because for Aristotle, even he's trying to be a good person and we can feel that he's touched by the situation, he's not virtuous by his action of accepting $1 million. And for Aristotle, a virtuous person always knows what to do, and it's not the case of Mark because he's facing a dilemma.
The second theory is deontology. So just to remember, deontology is represented by the duty of man. So in this sense, we can say that Mark's choice is more toward an unethical decision. Certainly by selling his funds, Mark is in link with the universal rules because there is nothing to prevent Mark from recovering his money in the eyes of the laws. But the problem here is more an ethical one. So his action is not considered morally right because he was not his duty. In addition, Mark and his associates will get rich on the money of the people who have lost everything, her homes, her territory, her property, which is contrary to deontology. In sum, Mark was confronted with an ethical dilemma, and he shows the value that was most important to him, and it is the money.
So the third theory is utilitarianism. This theory is really interesting, and I will not explain it because I know you know it. In this scene, it's difficult to say whether Mark is utilitarian or not, because in fact, if he accepts the money, he maximizes the profit of himself and of his associates, but you don't really know who he's hurting. Maybe he's hurting the people who took the loan and we are now poor because of this loan. And to be able to pay this interest, maybe the bank will take more money to the citizens. So in this case, it's really no utilitarian because it's not maximizing the profits of everyone and the well-being of everyone, but it's killing the well-being of the citizens.
The third step is establish moral intent. So just to remember, moral intent definition refers to the intention to confer benefit to another being and therefore society as a whole. By making the decision to sell his funds, Marx knows full well that the action he was taking is wrong. We can conclude that his intention is neither moral or immoral because his decision will be beneficial for the member of his company, the stakeholder, because they will earn the money, but at the same time, his decision has not a virtue for the society, so he wants to do a thing right.
Finally, the fourth step of decision-making process is to engage in a moral behavior. And we can say that Mark's action is neither good because he is accepting dirty money and he's getting richer from the detriment of others. At the end, he takes advantage of the situation and he can be considered as the winner. Also, by making this decision, he's then included in the same basket as dishonest people, and we think that's why he felt guilty. But the action can be considered as neither bad because the amount of money he takes won't change the fate of poor people, and also he didn't want to make part and to contribute to this immorality, and he wasn't responsible for this fraud. So we can ask what could have influenced his decision-making process. Maybe it was authority, but in this case, in this scene, it wasn't clearly authority at all because he was completely alone in his decision-making process. The only thing that could have influenced him a little bit is the pressure put by Vinny over the phone because he was in a hurry and he had to answer fast or he might lose everything.
The situational and individual factor are really obvious in this scene because he's American, so the situational factor is that it's a long-term view, the American view, is an individualistic person, and the American view is really money-oriented. Then there is the individual factor, and the individual factor comes from his own life and from the death of his brother. And because of this death of his brother, who was working in the financial markets, he absolutely hates the financial markets, who is also something important in his decision.
And last, we can ask if he was influenced by conformity bias, and yes, because all the other characters in the movie end up by accepting the money, and those who were aware of this fraud all take an advantage of the situation, and Mark is the last person to comply with the decision. So we can ask, why shouldn't he accept if all others have accepted? Yes. Another question that we could ask is, what would we have done in Mark's case? Honestly, for us, it was difficult to say that we will refuse the money, because if we accept the money, we promote our own well-being, but also the one of our partners and associates. The money surely comes from people who have lost everything, but if we don't take the money, it won't change anything for them and it won't change their fate. Whereas if we take the money, we will be able to create like a foundation or do something to help the people who have lost their house. And by this act, we will kind of reinvest the money, the dirty money, to make a good action and a moral action to feel less guilty.
But we also believe if we decide not to earn this money, it will allow us to have a clear conscience because we will not earn this money at the expense of people's misfortune. Accepting this money can also have an impact on our moral personality because we will live for all the rest of our life with the headache of stealing the money from the innocent people. So accepting this money is delicate because it has a double edge, slicing both personality and socially. So that is why we were divided and have different points of view from each other.
And the second question is the difference, or maybe the opposition, between responsibility or morality. It's quite difficult, but in the special case of Mark, he's not responsible of what happens, but can we say that it's not immoral? I'm not sure about that.
And we can also apply the quote by Michael Burry, I guess when someone is wrong, they never know how, to the case of Mark, because we can strongly feel that Mark knows that he's taking a wrong decision and an immoral one, but he kind of don't know how and why.
So to finish this analysis, here's our bibliography. I'm not sure that you can read because it's difficult with the video, but we will give you the PowerPoints. Thank you for listening and have a great day.